had a request to make doll scrunchies. I love scrunchies. I use them all the time. I'm wearing one right now. So I love the idea of making my own. I have satin fabric left over from earlier projects and elastic. Sometimes I get elastic off of clothing tags and other items, so I always hang on to that. I've actually never made a scrunchie before, so this is gonna be fun. I start by cutting a strip of fabric. This is about 2 inches wide, and I'm using a large seam allowance because satin likes to move. And let's go with about 5 inches. Cut the fabric to make a 2-inch by 5-inch strip. The material is already starting to fray. I turn my sewing machine to a zigzag stitch, then sew around the edges to slow down the fraying. Fold it in half so the good side is on the inside, lining up the raw edges. I am going to sew a straight line down the center, leaving about 3/4 of an inch on the ends. Carefully turn it inside out. I like to use the end of a paintbrush to help turn the fabric. Take elastic cord, tie it onto the end of a paper clip, push the paper clip through the tube, remove it, take the ends of the tube, then line them up, matching the raw edges. To sew them together, we're going to use a needle and thread. Thread the needle. This whole project can be done using a needle and thread. I just like using a sewing machine because they are faster. Begin stitching the 2 ends together using a straight stitch. Whenever I start stitching, I always lock my stitch by tying a knot so the thread doesn't come loose. Then I continue with a straight stitch. Keep the stitches close together, and I'm doing my best to keep them in a straight line. When I get to the end, lock the stitch by tying the thread in a knot, then trimming off the excess. While holding one end of the elastic, pull the other to gather it. Tie and knot the elastic, trim off the excess, push the elastic down into the tube, take the opening and flip over the raw edges so they are now facing the inside. Use a needle and thread to sew the opening closed. Don't forget to lock your stitch. Carefully sew along the edge, tie and knot the end, trim off the excess to make a tiny little scrunchie that we can use to style our doll's hair. Look at that! And I was actually able to get it around her ponytail twice. It was a little difficult because it is so small. I made another one. This one is about 1/2 inch smaller, and I used a thicker cord, which made it a lot tighter. Just note that the smaller you go, the more tedious the sewing process becomes. So then, what about going bigger? Let's make a human-sized scrunchie. Cut a rectangle of fabric that is 20 inches by 6 inches. Sew a stay stitch around the edge. Fold it in half so the good side is on the inside. Sew a straight line going along the raw edge. Stopping about 1/2 inch from the ends. Turn it right side out. Take the ends and match up the raw edges at the top. Hand stitch or carefully use a sewing machine to sew them together, making our tube into a circle. Push that edge inside, tie elastic to the paper clip, push the paper clip through the ring, pull it back out, pull the elastic to gather it, sew it together or tie it in a knot. Place the knot inside of the tube. At the opening, fold the fabric in. Then I use my sewing machine to sew a straight line across. To make a large, human-sized scrunchie that we can use as a skirt for our dolls. I just placed that scrunchie right over her dress, and it gave her an instant puffy skirt. Hello, instant prom dress that we can use in our hair after prom. I wonder if we could make a bigger skirt. This is 40 by 16 inches. I'm thinking everything is pretty much the same as before, so let's fold it in half. Sew a straight line, stopping before the ends. Turn it inside out. Line up the edges. Sew a straight line. Tuck it inside of the tube. Attach the elastic to the paper clip. This time I'm using a thick cord. Run it through the tube. Bring it back out. Pull the end together. Tie and knot it. Sew the opening closed. To make the biggest scrunchie ever! This thing is like bigger than both of my hands. But it makes a lovely full skirt. Then make another standard human-sized scrunchie. Use it as a top to make a dress inspired by Tracy Ellis Ross's Valentino Couture gown from the Emmys. Made out of scrunchies. I can see it now. Scrunchie couture on all the runways in the Dollyverse. Yeah! And if I want to take a little bulk out of the waist, just place a rubber band on top. That helped it to lay down a little. We can have so much fun coming up with different designs using scrunchies. Thank you for joining us while we made doll scrunchies. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to ring the bell and follow us on Instagram at MyFroggyStuff and the Frog Vlog. And you're done.
Happy crafting!
Give a shout out to Winters Maddie. What's up? So Chloe, what do you think?
Sometimes less is more?
You're saying I don't have enough scrunchies and I need more? You're absolutely right. 5 scrunchie minimum.